So today I'm here with Anthony Sosa, and we're doing an interview for our online summit. And I'm so excited that Anthony has offered his time to us. We're going to be talking about your work, which is really quite broad
And specific and broad.
yes,
Yeah.
you've pulled from a lot of different trainings to get where you are today. And I think could really be of service to the community, and I'm so excited to talk with you.
Transpersonal psychology and why that's so important is because it's just the form of psychology that understands that we need the universal, the spiritual dimension of human experience to understand the whole human being to be healthy. So it relies on a lot of perennial wisdom. And basically it gives permission to say there is this dimension of being human, not just our individual personality, not just our social interpersonal relationship, but the transpersonal, that word meaning to go above, through or beyond those levels, and to have like, what is your connection? How do you connect with the greater source of the earth, with the universe, with anything related to your own religious or spiritual background? What is that? And that's included as a part of this, part of studying the psychology, as well as including the skills of mindfulness, which have been shown, are older than modern science itself, 4,000 plus year old practices that help us reduce how much we suffer based on how we use our mind.
And mindfulness, it seems like, was kind of one of the first modalities to really gain a lot of traction in scientific research, maybe because I remember when I was in grad school, so like around 2010, so let's say 15 years ago, um, some of the first findings on the effects of like a 8-week or 12-week daily mindfulness, what was mindfulness-based
Stress reduction.
Yeah, I was like, there's a acronym.
Yeah, that's the most popular one.
Yeah, and that one really like seems like it kind of opened a door for all this other things to pass through and to give allowing for the scientific community to test and validate some of these findings. Yeah.
And I studied that.
Yeah,
So I was always trying to stay grounded in science
yeah.
because that served me so well, but also, I needed my right brain. I needed the feminine side. I needed that other side of my more mystical, spiritual, psychological side to also be present, coexist.
Yeah.
And so I have a deep affinity and respect for the scientific process and its groundedness and giving us like I can tell you exactly how mindfulness changes the brain.
Yeah.
Right? I could say that if you need that information. And also there's a part of it that is about embracing the uncertainty and the mystery, which isn't always definable, but that doesn't mean just because we know how it works, doesn't mean it can support.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to be balanced, right? All of this comes back to I keep using this hand gesture to signal like the fluid dance of creating this dynamic balance in our lives. And so Naropa helped me that, and that leads me into present moment time. Oh, the last thing I'll say is during that time of studying the transpersonal program at Naropa, I found neurosculpting. It was a teacher who showed me the work of Lisa Wimberger, who was the founder and creator of neurosculpting. And since my first year at Naropa, I went there, and neurosculpting is a neuroscience meditation modality already blended and fused together to give people the power of a neuroplastic brain changing and training meditation protocol that literally it changed how I meditate. It changed how I orient to my whole body and nervous system. And this was something that was deeply missing. And even the study of counseling and psychology was the grounding in this nervous system. And so neurosculpting, I became a neurosculpting facilitator, which there's only about 50 or 60.
Was there a class that Naropa on it, or you just
so there was a human growth and development class that brought in her work in terms of how the nervous system develops.
I've never heard of it before I met you, and I'm like, oh, like how have I not heard of this?
It's in Denver, Colorado, the Neurosculpting Institute. And there's a lot of great education. There's a lot already meditations. but it's all core around the 5-step trademarked uh, brain training, neurosculpting meditation
Yeah.
process that gives us this gift of self-directed neuroplastic change. And we already know, as what you said, that mindfulness can change your brain.
Yeah.
But what about a meditation modality that's specifically tailored to all nervous systems or more of all nervous system types? Because a lot of mindfulness meditation isn't geared towards the right nervous system.
Yeah.
And how do we actually intentionally boost or up the volume on our ability to change our brain in the most efficient way,
Yeah.
in a creative way? And so that fit perfectly for where I was at.
Mhm.
So Naropa, the neurosculpting, became a facilitator, did my clinical internship at the Neurosculpting Institute.
Mhm.
And then following all that, graduating in 2022, the first week after graduating, I already had my private
That's
practice
crazy.
where my own business and private practice where I, as a neurosculpting facilitator, but also the somatic, relational, transpersonal psychotherapy and counseling. And during that whole time, I also got certified in breathwork and solo breathwork.
Mhm.
So breathwork became another most important tools and modalities that I use to instantly give us that access to changing our state of mind, our state of body, regulation, raise energy, calm energy, ground energy. Breathing is probably the number one tool that I've
Yeah.
learned the science, the art, and the spirituality of more than anything, as well as the neurosculpting process of helping people with the nervous system and a way to change their brain and their stories in their brain and help heal trauma. And then as well as the relational side of it is how do we fundamentally create relationships that are healing in our lives? And that's my work as psychotherapy and then also within that therapy, I know we were going to talk about. I know so many people are used to the things like CBT,
Yeah.
cognitive behavioral therapy, and that has its place. But as a transpersonal counselor, I see us as I'll try to see the wholeness of
Yeah.
everything, and that's where understanding you. It's like there is a physical body, nervous system. Okay, I have tools for that. There's an intellectual, cognitive side. Oh, things like CBT or DBT or other forms of inquiry can help with it. There's our emotional body, a whole part of us, and what practices, tools that we have to support emotional integration and healing. And then there's another part of being human where all the things are included, but it's beyond that. And what's beyond that is the spiritual, the transpersonal past lives, intergenerational, transgenerational trauma that goes beyond this lifetime or goes down
Yeah.
into utero or it's and so I have practices and I have tools and I have my own experience of how to work in that domain.
Mm.
And so CBT fits within one of the layers, but I try to be able to be open and being able to have that's why I need to be both broad
Yeah.
and the ability to be specific.
Yeah, like, what does the next step look like, I guess? Yeah.
I mean, for anyone who's done already CBT and they've either found it useful, but then it stalled,
Mhm.
and that's where having my different wide set of tools because the transpersonal allows me to be a container where I can hold all the parts of you, the
Mm.
cognitive parts of you, the emotional parts of you, the relational attachment
Mhm.
parts of you, the just the physical nervous system parts of you, and the parts of you that are seeking greater meaning or your
Right.
relationship to the greater universe, the greater meaning, and what that is. So, and it seems like, oh, that's so overwhelming. How do you do that? But it's very simple.
Mm.
And it all starts with grounding in human relationship. So the
Mhm.
first thing I tell people that is so important, there's two things about doing at least the therapy practice, because within the therapy practice, sometimes I just do neurosculpting with people,
Mhm.
sometimes I just do breath work with people, sometimes I do just the gene key sessions with people. But within the core of it is the psychotherapy, being relational.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is we start by practicing how to be in a relationship. And this is where I support people in developing their own tools, their
Mm.
own practices of how to be aware of, in this moment, how am I aware of my relationship to my body,
Mhm.
myself, how am I relationship to you, and how am I aware of the relationship that is existing between us, that is its own really entity, third object.
Mhm.
And so I can be aware of those all at the same time, and it's the health of each of those that contribute to that. And so I really start people like, if you're not here to do practice and direct experientials with me, then we may not be ready. And that may be including nervous system, body-based
Mhm.
regulation practices. mindfulness practices for awareness and how to deal with our thoughts. It may deal with internal family system style work of how we process emotions.
Yeah.
And it may include other modalities that help us going deeper into slightly altered states or just progression or deeper states of awareness that can be accessed in meditation that allow us to have a different state of awareness to access deeper material.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, could we get a little more specific?
Sure.
So let's say, hypothetically,
Of
you've got a mom who's got young kids at home,
Yeah, or have a kid
and
like this.
yeah,
Yeah,
and she's overwhelmed. She's working full time. She's
totally.
household CEO, managing the
Totally.
schedules, and the kid. It's like the end of the day. Everybody's like running on empty.
Yeah,
Kids are not listening,
totally.
and inside the head, the thoughts are, I can't do this anymore.
Mhm.
Like this is just like, maybe snapping at the kids, like you're not being the good, you're not being the role model you want to be with like your kids and your partner where you're like irritable. You just your cup is not full, right? But you don't have anything to draw from. Like where would you maybe start?
Mm. So as we've created the relationship between, because the relationships are sacred to me, very sacred.
Yeah.
So when I think about creating a relationship with a new client, it's not just another person I'm seeing. Like
Hmm.
this is another profound human being that I respect so implicitly. They have their own source of wisdom and knowing. And I understand that it takes uh, my own professional integrity, my own authentic humanness to show up to build trust. So
Right.
that relationship coming to that space with this mother and myself, that therapeutic relationship container is a safe haven. It is
Mm.
a place for them to take a
Yeah.
moment to pause, let go, and learn the skills and the tools of resourcing themselves, the
Mm.
actual tools of how to connect and to regulate their stress. To
So that
me,
they can get like that pause before they react.
so what they practice in the therapeutic container are the living skills and
Mm.
tools that you can bring into every other moment of your life with your kids. And so learning how to build that safe relationship through each other, learns how to build that security of relationship in themselves so that they
Mhm.
feel securely connected in themselves. And whatever parts of them get triggered by their kids, they know how to self-parent not only their inner
Mhm.
emotions, their inner thoughts, but they also know how to be that kind of presence for their children that can be grounded, that can deal with the overwhelm, and specifically tools that mitigate, reduce your ability to not get overwhelmed and grow
Yeah,
your
yeah,
capacity. And so much of
absolutely.
and the mothers that I've worked with, this has been so already profound is first having a space for them to just take a step out of being a mother for a moment and connect back to the relationship to you.
Right, yeah. That's
Because
where everything comes from.
right, and to resource yourself, ground yourself,
Mhm.
and that you do deserve that. And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
if you don't give yourself that, then you're not going to be the best
yeah,
wife, partner,
yeah.
mother,
Hear that,
business
moms?
person possible. And really seeing that
Yeah,
how, and how important it is to create secure connection with ourselves
yeah,
so that we can create that with our children because the goal is so that we can probably be the best loving human parents, mothers, partners
yeah,
in our whole life.
yeah, yeah,
And so we need a place to practice how we're in relationship to that.
absolutely.
That's where the therapy comes in. And so
And it reminds me of, like, something I heard recently, which is, like, regulate your nervous system rather than the nervous system of your children. So it's
yeah,
like, when we're overwhelmed, then we try to, like, regulate they tell them what they can and can't do, like, put boundaries on them, but
totally,
instead, like, we need boundaries on ourselves or,
totally.
you know, I think that's, like a loving parent, like, has, like, consistent boundaries and a loving friend, and we need to love ourselves. In order to love ourselves, we need consistent
Yeah,
boundaries with ourselves also.
yeah. So, for example, a mother comes in and they're overwhelmed with raising their kids, right?
Mhm.
So first thing, and using that kind of transpersonal, okay, let's first nurture your nervous system.
Mhm.
What state of the nervous system are you in? Are you collapsing and freezing? Are you getting super anxious and agitated and
Yeah.
frazzled, right? Are you where are you at?
Right.
Okay, let's give you the tools and practices using things like neurosculpting
Mhm.
to find your balance, to
Yeah.
come back and learn, and that these tools that you learn, right? Because I don't want to give people the answers. I want to give
Right.
them the formula to solve all the
Yeah.
answers. And
Because like,
that's,
everybody's solution should
yeah,
be, like, tailored just like
right.
yours was,
Totally,
right?
just like
Yeah.
mine was.
So
And so,
you don't wanna give people,
yeah,
like, a pre-specified
totally,
path because
totally,
that's not what you learned works, right?
exactly.
Mhm.
And so then I would support them in building those tools, and it's almost instantaneous, whether it's some of the breath practice, the neurosculpting regulation
Mhm.
practices, and then maybe they feel, okay, I feel like my nervous system feels more steady.
Mhm.
Great. You now have the ability to shift that anytime you want.
Yeah.
And then you model that
Mhm.
for your loved ones.
Yeah.
And then something now, then emotional comes up. But before you get to emotion, there's such a anxiety or a fear or a mental projection or story. So then we will have tools to work with the mental side of it,
Mhm.
right? Maybe some CBT, maybe some inquiry, maybe some mindfulness, maybe some of these tools.
Mhm.
You know, okay, now the mental part is not as anxious because it's overthinking, and it's like,
Right.
oh, now there's an emotion here that when my child or partners does this, it triggers this
Yeah.
inadequacy or it triggers this frustration. And how do I deal with that emotion? Well, now we have ways to working with the emotional side,
Yeah.
right? And then you get to a part where there's an existential part of what's going to happen. I don't know. Right? That existential. That's where we need some of the transpersonal
Right.
side of helping us create that deeper meaning or understand how to grieve as a
Mhm.
mother, as change always happens. Um, and so being able to be fluid, have structure, and within that structure, fluidly move within
Mhm.
it helps people and our young, as you said, boundaries is so important
Yeah.
because we need to feel boundaries and we have the need to feel space and fluidity and
Yeah.
movement within those boundaries.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's the try to balance I create is
Yeah.
here's the structure,
You can't
here's
be
a
so
container.
firm because
It can't be
then
too firm or too
yeah.
wide, right? And so,
I think
and
about the helicopter parents, and
totally,
the kids just are like revolt
right?
because it's too strong.
And that's ultimately coming back to the wisdom.
Yeah.
That wisdom is the natural intelligence inside of us of knowing how to we don't know.
Yeah.
And because you don't know, that's actually a moment for curiosity and for a moment for you to learn and a
Mm.
moment for you to resource and for you to have because all the intelligence is there of how to create that dance or that fluid movement of when do I need to be more contained and boundary with myself,
Mhm.
when I need to be more open. And
Yeah.
so that's also another part of what I mean about relationship to the relationship. Not
Mhm.
only relationship to self, relationship to other, but how this relationship is allowing change or growth
Yeah.
or needing more security,
Mhm.
needing more openness. And I literally don't know how I know,
Yeah.
but I trust myself so
Yeah.
much to be able in some moment to be able to know what's needed right
Mm.
then and there.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the deeper level of like what I want people to leave with is that kind of wisdom to
Yeah.
navigate their life. Because we're never gonna have all the answers. We're never gonna be completely certain. There's never gonna be a predictable
Right.
one thing that you're gonna do right or wrong for every situation. And so, but I think I know that we have the wisdom to know how to navigate it.
Yeah, and we've all, like, had times where we've felt, like, in the pocket like that? And it's, like, beautiful when we're able to cultivate that capacity so that we're in that place more often instead of, like, um, in a reactive state or state where we know we're not being our best self.
Totally.
Yeah. Then what do you like? It's not a good feeling.
Yeah. And, everyone eventually has to go on their path of healing,
Yeah.
right? Which is how do we live like a healthy lifestyle according to what works best for us at that time of our life, our body, our relationships. And in order to be healthy, we have to know the important skills and tools that what allows us to heal.
Mhm.
And so I want people to have the direct skills and tools and also just develop what kind of awareness and the principles that allow
Mhm.
us to heal. And then once we're able, and this is where people will like, how long does that take? And you're like, I get you want that answer,
Yeah.
but usually those patterns that keep you so stuck or
Mhm.
frustrated or triggered, they took
Yeah.
years upon years to build.
Yeah.
And I would say that healing can happen with a few years, but that a less amount of time than it took to create those patterns.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think this is just one of the greatest gifts we give ourselves, our children, our parents, our partners, our loved ones, our friends, our community is just being able to show up more whole.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, knowing that you're worthy of being loved, knowing where your limitations are, knowing where your strengths are. And then, and I say that as coming 11 years,
Mhm.
coming from the experience that like shattered and fractured me,
Yeah.
breaking in pieces.
Yeah.
And I can now tell you, I know what it's like to live from an integrated place of where my intellect, my physical, emotional, mental, the ability to create loving, caring relationships, ability to handle uncertainty, and to be able to have the capacity to handle all the different changes of life, to
Mhm.
adapt,
Yeah.
right? To be flexible, to be energized, but also stable. And I say someone who, of course, have a practice that allows me to do that, but I can tell you what it's like. And then after, we've created this larger healing foundation, I think then what we're able to do is really create what we're meant to create in the world. So after healing is, I think, creative service
Mm.
is ultimately once we're more whole, we have a sense of who we are, we truly can, the archetype of it is the wounded healer, right? We
Mhm.
usually are able to serve in the world from our truest vocation is that which we've healed and made whole in ourselves.
Yeah.
And so after we've really learned how to heal our hearts, heal ourselves in relationships, apply that and have a way of continuing to do that, and then I think what you're doing, you're able to create something that
Mhm.
supports and brings that greater healing, prosperity, growth to others.
Right.
And what I tell people is that there's a cycles in our life where we're healing.
Mhm.
For me, that was when I was vegan and vegetarian, yoga, I needed to be that. And then there's cycles where we're more into growth.
Mm.
And yes, there's healing within growth and growth with healing. But now I would say that I'm trying to grow in business. I'm trying
Mhm.
to grow my network of people that I can connect to
Yeah.
and support because I have that
Yeah.
capacity. And I'm also, now that I'm a therapist at the Neurosculpting Institute, I'm creating neurosculpting meditations for the 64 gene key and archetypes of human
Mhm.
consciousness. And I get to synthesize all that together and then give it to the world that reflects my
Yeah.
gifts. Or, so I'm getting to create things that are true reflections of me, but also in service to the support,
Yeah.
to the development and to the wholeness of others.
Mhm.
So I think just giving a big picture may be like, well, that's far from where
Yeah.
I'm at. I wouldn't say it's so far.
Yeah, yeah.
Because as you're already healing and supporting that, you're already creating something to be born or new in the world that will reflect more who you are
Mhm.
in a way that will deeply feel like you're in your purpose.
Yeah, totally.
Because I feel like we have that sense of purpose when we're creating something that feels truly authentic in a way that gives back and supports or impacts people and
Yeah.
allows us to feel
Yeah.
deeply connected.
Yeah.
And I think just an idea of like that's what comes after when we create healing is that ability to create. And then not to say that there will be cycles in our life when we have to heal again.
Oh, yeah, because life's gonna happen.
Life is gonna happen,
You know?
but your capacity has grown, your skill set
Yeah.
has grown, your awareness has grown to
Mhm.
allow you to be able to navigate and handle whatever comes up in life.
Yeah.
And so I just see like, and I say that as someone who feels like I'm in that process, and
Mhm.
knowing that the next time healing is required of me, I feel so much capable, or the moments in my life where I need to deeply process something emotional, I know exactly what to do to give myself for that and to let go of the things of, oh, okay, right now, what's needed is this. So I can let go of this for right now,
Mhm.
however long that is. Whether that's like me needing to be productive,
Yeah.
busy right now, I need to give myself rest.
Yeah.
And so for me, that balance of masculine, feminine, that integration of intellect and embodiment, all of those things come as we heal and as we grow. And that's kind of like the long-term picture that the long-term vision I hold for everyone I work with.
Mm.
And I have seen it.
Yeah,
I've
beautiful.
seen
It's
it.
beautiful.
People leave, feel more connected and integrated, greater capacity, heal through some of the traumas in their lives they never thought possible, like, the identification with borderline personality. Now they no longer have symptoms. Um, Things in their body and things how they grew up, like, sexual abuse, and they found so much more ability to work through that after 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
I've really gotten to see it directly now, not just intellectually,
Yeah, which is totally
right? I've
different.
actually had the direct experience
Oh,
of
that's
seeing
cool.
people integrate and heal, and with my style of, like, offering all these different services is knowing what worked for me, I can apply in certain ways. And it's funny because I don't wanna put a box around not needing to put a box on you. I see some of the paradox that could be in
Yeah,
that, because some people may need more structure, but I'm
absolutely.
able to do that.
Yeah,
Some people may need more flow and balance, some
yeah.
people need that. Some people may need to be very open,
Some
and I
people,
can
like,
do
probably show up like, "Okay, like, what's
right,
the plan? What are we doing here?" And
right,
other people probably, like, fine with just showing up
totally.
and, like, whatever
So
comes up, comes up.
that's the essence, is that I've really learned to embody, really learned the science, the mechanisms, the how these practices, how these
Mhm,
tools, and the science of them, but also the practical application of how they work. And I know how to modify and adapt them to what people need,
mhm,
because I learned how to create first, like, that relationship.
mm,
And through that relationship and that intimacy, I can really respond best to what that person needs, while feeling there's a solid structure in place.
mm,
And within that, there's so much space for them to change, to adapt, to shift, to learn, to
mhm.
grow. Because if our container is too tight, we don't grow.
Right,
But it needs to be some container to initiate growth.
right. Yeah,
And so all those different things come together in how I get to, like, serve and work with people to this
nice.
day.
So, if anybody's interested in working with you or feels like some of these modalities, might be able to meet them where they're at, what's the first step or the next step?
Yeah, you can go to the Neurosculpting page and then find therapy, and there's
Mhm,
a subsection therapy. There's free, like, meditations on the Neurosculpting
okay.
website that I
Yeah, and we'll
highly recommend.
share those links
Yeah,
with you.
there's breath meditations there that are like
Mhm,
5 to 10 minute breath meditations to help
mhm.
people. You can two different of my sites on the heal.me, and then my Neurosculpting just gives, like, the different list of my services.
Okay.
Um, what else?
Do you
Uh,
work with patients only in Colorado, is that correct?
No, because I do private practice and offer a sliding scale,
Okay.
I can see people out of state.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I can
Awesome.
see people out of state, but I also have an in-person office for anyone who
Nice.
is in, Colorado, near the Denver, Boulder
Mhm.
area. Um, and I'm sure as we do follow this, so I'll give more opportunity to share and everything. So,
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
yeah,
I'm excited. I know you probably piqued the interest
I hope
of some
so.
individuals and I mean, certainly me. I'm looking forward to like having more conversations with
Yes,
you as well.